Okay, hello guys. So it's 12th episode of Suit Yourself, a menswear podcast, and we have a guest for the first time.
Yeah, that's cool. Exciting.
Erik Mannby. And of course, Michal Jordan.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah, but let us introduce Erik, or maybe Erik, you can just introduce yourself. It would be the best, I think.
Okay. Well, my name is Erik Mannby, and I am a menswear nerd. So I work with menswear in a lot of different ways. I'm editor-in-chief of the international menswear magazine Plaza Uomo. I run an online second-hand shop called Pete and Harry, and I'm co-owner of the tailoring house Götrich.
Okay, that's actually a lot.
Yeah, quite a full CV. That's a pleasure to have you, by the way. Thank you for accepting this invitation. That's
well,
cool.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's great.
And nice meeting you for the first time.
Yeah,
well.
me too. We had
for the first time together, yeah.
Exactly, we had the opportunity to chat a bit. I think there's going to be a lot of things very interesting to discuss today.
Yeah, I think I met Erik for the first time at PT Uomo, actually.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I interviewed you on my YouTube channel. Then this channel was in Polish, yeah, but the interview was in English.
Okay.
So guys, if you want to see it, I can put a link on it.
Yeah, my Polish is so.
Mine is getting worse, yeah.
All right, still better than my Swedish, I'm afraid.
That's why we're holding it in English. Okay. Yeah, but first question. Jordan, you have something
to ask to Erik.
Yeah.
But I'm like you're editor at Plaza di Uomo, one of the leading magazine menswear, and I'm interested in what you are doing in here exactly. How is your work going on there?
Okay, so I'm editor-in-chief, which means that I put together the magazine, the content of the magazine, and I keep in contact. It's solely based on me being the editor-in-chief, and then all the content comes from different freelance writers and freelance photographers, and to some extent freelance illustrators. And since it's a magazine with a big spread, globally speaking, but it's a very small magazine if you look to the number of people working with it, which is basically me. And then of course the reoccurring freelance writers. So I mean it's a very interesting magazine to work with, because it's a magazine that actually takes menswear seriously. Mm-hmm. So we do write about a lot of the actual small details, like the handcraft of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Visiting like a lot of tailoring shops, shoemakers, and a lot of other businesses that work with menswear in one way or another. So I've got to travel around the world and meet some of the best craftsmen in their business, and craftswomen, of course, which is super interesting to me, because I really like to hear about the details and hear about the history. And
we do too, something that is fascinating for me about this, and we are a lot in this menswear business about the digital aspect of things. And for me, there's something super powerful about having a physical thing.
To me too. I think because the things we work with are physical things, like clothing, you can feel the texture, the fabrics, you can really nerd out about every little detail. And it's sort of the same with the magazine. Of course, you're limited to paper, but you can choose the quality of the paper, and you can choose the quality of the print, etc. So that actually makes it something more tactile, something that you can actually feel the quality of. And I think the magazine I work with, we spend a lot of time selecting the right kind of printers, the right kind of paper. So
Yeah,
it
that's
feels
important.
like it reflects the quality of what we write about.
So
Yeah.
we can use it as interior design
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
And
on a coffee table.
that's actually a very fun fact is that since the magazine is, in my opinion, and I might be slightly biased here, but it's a beautiful magazine, and it's also become sort of a collector's item. So you can see old issues of the magazine being sold at eBay for up to 200 euros,
Yeah.
which is
No,
super
really?
cool.
But you can buy all the magazines also online, like the archive.
I think
Maybe to some extent, not all of them.
I think you can buy all of them digitally, but you can't buy all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
in
Not the
form.
physical.
Yeah.
And what do you feel about the influence of this magazine? I mean, it's quite a renowned magazine, and everyone kind of heard about it or know about it to a certain extent. So, like, do you see this influence on day to day, or when you talk to people, or how it spreads the news, so to speak?
I think mostly outside of Sweden, because and also, I mean, we work within a niche of a niche. Like
exactly.
if the fashion market is this big, then the quality menswear, like
It's the
part of it
quarter maybe
is
of it.
so much smaller, and then like the super detailed, tailored business is even smaller. So, like as it is now, I think I know most of the people in this very small niche.
Small world.
And of course, in that small world, if you do have a magazine that's spread internationally, yes, it is renowned, but within a very small circle.
Yeah.
So a couple of 100,000 around the world.
A community
Yeah, a
around
community.
Plaza Uomo.
Around Plaza Uomo, and what you are talking about is bespoke or the best craftsmanship, and I think it's like from almost public utility to do this kind of things, because these initiatives are the part of the reason why they are still alive, because then we keep the word and new people are getting interested into it, and there's
There
a
are not
younger
so many
generation.
magazines like that anymore.
No, it's
like
Plaza
maybe three?
Uomo. It's the Rake,
The
but the
Rake.
Rake is more geared towards lifestyle in general, I'd say. They do write a lot about bespoke and high quality products, and that's a beautiful magazine, but it's slightly different. I think we dare to go even deeper into only the sartorial part, just foregoing most of the lifestyle things. It's not about luxury cars or yachts or private jets or things like that. It's I mean, those are all nice things, but I'm completely uninterested in a luxury lifestyle. I only care about the craft and like the history and
Clothes.
And the beauty.
clothes. Yeah, the beauty.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think,
No bespoke made private jets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my part.
Yeah.
but I can just read about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you also actually know how to fly.
pilot, yeah, exactly.
So that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Would you know how to pilot a jet?
How to pilot? I don't know right now, but I think I'm able. But I can just not fly a jet because it's two engines. So I
So
can fly
if,
just single
if there is
engine.
like an emergency,
I think
like we need a pilot right
yeah,
now.
but you know that 50% of men actually statistically they think that they would be able to land a plane.
Well, I'm not one of those men.
I mean, if you gotta do, you will try, but can you actually do it? Is another question.
You can try, but if you're gonna survive, yeah.
Exactly, but to go back on the menswear aspect of things, and we were off camera talking a bit about Paris before, and I'm interested in the menswear in Scandinavia. You guys know a bit more than me. I have just some kind of fresh impression, so to speak.
But still, I mean, you've been working with menswear for quite a while. You told me you've been working with Bauer, and now you're working with Lugialo.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you've already
I know my deal when it comes to menswear, but it's more the full impression, you know, the bigger picture. When I arrived in Sweden, I felt, especially in Stockholm, I felt that gentlemen here and people, most of them were quite well dressed. And,
in Stockholm.
In Stockholm, yeah. And I had this feeling also that there's something charming about Sweden. And something that also is quite elegant is that people are dressing up for what they are actually doing. So if they are doing some runnings, they are fully dressed in runners. If they are doing some, I don't know, skiing or, you know, like those walk with ski, I don't know.
Nordic walking?
Exactly. Yeah. So every time a Swedish person is doing something, they dress completely accordingly to this. And I feel there's something elegant to this. Coming from Paris, I feel that even though we have this impression of Paris being a city of fashion and so on, people dress quite poorly most of the time. That can be explained by many reasons. Also that Paris is not very, it's not a tender city, I would say. It's quite a rough city, so you don't really think about dressing up, and if you dress up, you might become a target. So all kind of other reasons, but my impression of Sweden is a bit like this. It's a bit more refined, let's say. But when it comes to the Scandinavian style, classic style, I would like to have your impression about it. Is it something, and how would you describe it?
Well, it's something, definitely. I mean, to be honest, Sweden is such a small country, almost like insignificantly small in the, like, if you look at the world in general, and like our but the weight we do throw around, especially in this segment that I work in, is like completely unparalleled for such a small country. We do have a big influence, and I think it's because we're such a small country that's always relied a lot on export-import business, so we've taken on a lot of influence from the entire world, and you know, always had to keep open to new influences. So Swedes tend to take new trends, and a lot of new trends are created in Sweden as well.
Exactly, quite a creative country at the end of the day. 10 million people, but you
a lot of new brands in a lot of new brands in fashion and in menswear, especially.
So I mean, for example, Swedish brand Acne, which they don't do what we do, but I mean, a brand that's actually become like a global high fashion brand. That's quite impressive. And we do have also in the more sartorial circles, there are a lot of small brands, quite niched, but that have made a ripple in the world of sartorialism, globally speaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's because there is a certain Scandinavian aesthetic, which you can see not only in Sweden but in Denmark and Norway to some extent. And I think it's about the very minimalistic designs.
Yeah, like everyone looks good in it.
Yeah, everyone looks good in it. It's like, and that goes from furniture to clothing and in a lot of other aspects as well. Maybe
it's just easy to apply that style in your like apartment, in your clothing, because it's just so simple. And in the menswear, simplicity is sometimes the key.
Isn't it the essence of classic menswear? I mean, it's about balance, and it's about not being too loud at the end of the day. So
so I think that's where I differ a bit from the typical Scandinavian. Today I'm quite dressed down, but usually I like colors and patterns.
More like flamboyant. Well, it's interesting because a lot of like Swedes, they are like in Scandi look, a lot of like those colors, they're like safe colors. But those people like you, the niche in menswear, you guys are pretty flamboyant. You, for example, Andreas, flannels and tweed. I wouldn't say that you are like other Swedes.
Maybe not, but I think it depends on where you're coming from. So, like a lot of the very influential Swedes, like Andreas Weinos, for example, he comes from a slightly different background than I do, and came into the business from a different angle, and he really likes the minimalistic thing.
Exactly, yeah. Everything is just safe, secure, and but very good quality.
It's
well put together.
And I'd say he's like one of the best dressed men I've ever met. But we don't share the same aesthetic.
No.
I like to, I like to go out on a limb every now and then and just try something outrageous.
Different.
And sometimes when I look back at it, it's like, wow, that looks.
I really did that.
Looks like crap.
But you just, it's sometimes with me like that, because I'm out and about, and like, no, I need to go back home. I need to change the clothes.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, I know. It's like when I realized going into town that, oh God, these socks, what were I thinking? But, then again, I'll wear it. Sometimes I'll probably look ridiculous, especially in the eyes of other Swedes, because, as you said, Swedes like to play it safe, and it's a lot of the same basic colors. Like
exactly.
Do you have an example of last time that you can remember that you dressed and were like, oh?
Maybe some outfit from Pity.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I like to wear like big checkered patterns in a lot of different colors, and I like, when we met at Pity this summer, I was wearing like a very, very yellow
jacket, yeah. And I had a yellow shirt.
Yeah, we matched quite well.
Exactly. But it was Pity Lemon.
Yeah,
the subject.
Yeah, I had no idea. That was the
me neither. But like, oh shit, it actually fits.
Yeah,
perfect.
And so I like to wear colors. Well, the typical Scandinavian dresser likes to wear a lot of, beige top, off-white,
gray,
and recently a lot of black as well. The thing is, I love all of those colors.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan, you're a Scandinavian today.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm trying at least, No, but I often have people coming to me, especially at Blue Jello, and they are telling me, but especially when they don't really know about menswear, they're telling me, all right, I have this event coming and I'm gonna have to wear a formal suit, but I don't know, is a navy blue, isn't it a bit boring? I'm like, usually people wear those colors because they tend to look nice by default. So there's nothing boring about something that looks nice.
No,
that's
like,
what I want to tell them.
Babe, you will look like $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't find it boring, just to make it clear.
Yeah.
It's just that I like to play around with colors.
Yeah.
It's
but you are more advanced, so
no, I don't think
we all started somewhere.
Yeah.
And we started with a navy suit.
I never started with a navy suit. I think I probably started with a bright green suit.
Oh, really? But then my question, so how it even started? How it started that you're pursuing in menswear professionally? Because you said that Andreas Weines had a different start. It's also interesting. But tell us about yourself, how it started.
Okay. So probably a lot of different influences from a lot of different aspects of my life, but I grew up in north of Sweden, but a part of my childhood I also lived in Botswana in the south of Africa. So I had some different influences growing up, and then growing up I went through a lot of different styles. So I was a skateboarder. I still skateboard.
Cool.
And like so, all guys in menswear, they were skateboarders.
Yeah, I was also.
So I mean, that kind of influenced I've always really liked the different styles of everything I've gotten into. So I've listened to a lot of different music styles, everything from like metal to hip hop and soul, indie, a lot of different styles, and I've always like gone all in, dressed that style. And then once I started getting older, I'm really old now, I'm 46, but maybe in my 30s I started getting very interested in more classic menswear, and that was because I was into sort of the mod style, which is also very connected to music.
Did you own a Vespa or Lambretta?
I've never owned any kind of vehicle in my life. But I do like the aesthetic of them. And so I got into menswear through that style, and then I started reading up on it because I really like reading up on whatever I find an interest in. So one of the first books I got on classic menswear was The Gentleman by Bernard Retzel. Yeah. Which is like, that's a huge
It
book.
was also my first book about menswear.
And I mean, from there, I just I dove straight down this rabbit hole, and I never managed to crawl my way back up from it. But it's such an interesting world, and you realize there are so many layers to it. A lot of people will see a suit and they just think suit. But to me, it's like, it's an expression of so many things, and the suit itself, I mean, if you're into it, then you can tell the small subtle differences, and you can tell a lot about the person who's wearing them as well. Absolutely. And what they're into, actually it's like you feel sort of like a suit Sherlock Holmes type of person, because you can tell, like, oh, this is a guy who does business probably within this area, and he travels a lot to London. You can see that because he wears this type of shoulders, and a lot of different things.
But I mean, that's what it's all about. Clothing at the beginning of the day, it's just to reflect yourself, and you want to send an image. And then this image holds so many layers. It
does have a lot of layers. Then I've sort of realized that the image that you think you project and the image people perceive might not always be the same. Because, as I said, a lot of people, they see a suit, they think a suit. They might think like stiff and like very, conservative.
Absolutely.
And I'm certainly not very conservative, and I don't know, I might be stiff, but that's because I'm a Swede,
No, but that's true that there's more and more this image in social media as well of the suit represent money. It represents this new self-entrepreneur that are telling you how to earn money very quickly, and they wear those ugly suits. And many people think that if you're into suits, which is already very narrowing what we are into, because we are not into suits. We're into how dressing influence also life and what it tells about life. And you were mentioning all those layers. There's a part of history, so it's our heritage that is in play there. And culture is extremely important. Nowadays, culture is disappearing. So it's super interesting to venture into these questions through clothing, because we are wearing things that tends to disappear, or the way they used to be. And if we are a bit looking back in the way we dress, is because it just used to be better, and we are about beauty. So this is another layer: beauty, quality.
I have another thing, because I just noticed that in Sweden people just refuse to wear more formal clothes. Even at work, even like going out. For example, in Poland on Sundays, it's the thing that for example, in small cities, not so much more in big cities, people are going to church. They want to dress up. And in Sweden is the opposite. Even in Stockholm, people are just wearing training clothes, sport clothes. And when it's the time to wear a suit, to just dress up, because even at the clubs people are wearing jeans, a lot of denim, and like, it's the thing. I think it's also the Swedish culture, but what's your take on it?
So I don't think this is like something that only happens in Sweden. It's happening all over the world. Maybe Poland is an exception, but it might have to do with it being still to a big extent a Catholic country where people.
I mean, women, they dress up. They wear high heels at work, but not guys. Guys just take a suit like something that they need to do. They need to have a suit at work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe
They are
pushed
like
by this,
forced. They are forced.
yeah, but a bit pushed by this female trend. I remember Hugo Jacomet, if you know guys about him. He used to be in advertising. He was running a company, I think.
He's been working with music as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I've known him for a very long time.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the first guys I got to know in this business.
And I remember he made this advertising that was quite outrageous back in the days. And it was just different images of female that were acting in a very rude and ugly way, like farting in the bathtub and things like this, and doing very, I don't know, things that you might think that are look bad.
Was that on TV?
I think it went on TV, but you can find it on internet. And what was very interesting, it was after all those shocking images, which are things that male tend to do actually, and we don't find that so shocking.
Like women, they doesn't fart. No.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just to shock us with this and try to make us rethink about those images, and also thinking, all right, and I think the slogan was something like, if you are acting bad, don't be surprised that the others will also act bad, because you are also, what you project is what you want around you. And if in Poland, maybe women are more have this tendency to look after themselves and to just have a better look for the others. Maybe that's also what helps men to also stand for themselves. And
a lot of women help to dress men. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a balance, I would say. So maybe that has an influence, but I would say also the conservative aspect of the country, cultural aspect might play a role. And we are in a place where there's way more openness. Openness can destroy certain good things.
Well, Sweden is very egalitarian, which I think is it has, of course, like most things, its pros and its cons. I mean, I do like living in a society where, people are pretty equal. I mean, people will never be completely equal, but at least a lot of Swedes are trying.
Yeah.
But also, yes, it influences how people present themselves, because they don't want to look snobby. Swedes in general don't want to stand out.
Yeah.
So if
It's the jantelagen.
yeah, sort of. And it's because, like, if anyone is wearing something different, people will just look at them differently.
And they would think that you are better than them.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe they're just like, oh, yeah, that person is trying to show off, or who they...
But it's different in Stockholm, because I lived 4 years in a small town, and then there I couldn't wear my clothes.
Yeah, for sure. I lived in Örebro, quite central.
Everyone just wore the same clothes. I'm from Warsaw, from Poland. It's a big city, bigger than Stockholm. But I guess in small towns in Poland it's even worse.
Yeah.
Because you can see all those Polish people here in Stockholm. Even they look the same. Most of them.
Yeah, but I think that's a global thing. The difference between the big cities and small cities, that's pretty much that's going to be the case all over the world.
I mean, it's even some specific district in Stockholm that stands out.
Yeah.
I mean, Vasastan, Östermalm.
Yeah,
because you can go to Södermalm and people just dress more streetwear.
Yeah.
It's like whole Warsaw. It's about streetwear.
Yeah.
Because in Warsaw there are also such a distinctive differences between districts.
Yeah.
But I have to say though, I've barely ever experienced that people have been rude to me because I wear a suit.
No.
In Stockholm, you mean?
Yeah, in Stockholm, or like basically anywhere I've gone.
No, it's positive.
Yeah, and
The
I
response is positive.
Yeah, especially among older people.
Yeah, they just look like, imagine my mustache today, like older ladies, like, oh, look like people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but one thing though I need to say about suits, in general, not good if you're single and wanna date, because a lot of people.
It's a bit lot of connotation. You cannot date with a suit.
No, it's
I
too
wouldn't do
much.
this. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I had a suit on my first date with Sarah that is actually sitting there, but it was Sears Sucker.
Yeah, well, you try to.
Yeah. So
Erik, what is your impression about the state of tailors, bespoke tailors, shoemakers in Sweden? Is there a place for them? How many actually there are tailors? Because like I know maybe two actually in Stockholm.
well, there are actually a lot more than two. But a lot of them have started out in two places. It's either Götrich or Bauer.
I mean, yeah, two brands.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then some have ventured out on their own and started up new businesses. But yeah, those have been the two big ones.
I remember there was a guy from Gothenburg, I think, and he worked with some Korean tailor.
Yeah, Robin.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was really good. He got a raw deal and then went out of business. But yeah,
Interesting. That's a
that's a
reality of this the harshness, I would say, of this business actually.
yeah. So yeah, a big blogger, no names mentioned, but gave him a really bad review, which was like the result was not his fault at all, but that sort of
That didn't help.
put him out of business.
That's a bit harsh. I mean, of course, it's his responsibility to give his opinion and his honest opinion.
Yeah,
but in this case, I mean, there's always room for improvement, and those businesses are so fragile by default. I would say I've been working at Bauer, and my job was to do the other way around, was to kind of save those things, because I mean, Bauer is all right. They are not about to die or anything, but there's something that is very fragile with this business anyway.
It is, yeah. And so I'm to be completely transparent, or I said this earlier, but I co-own a very small part of one of the two big tailoring houses in Sweden, Götrich.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've never seen Bauer as a competitor. It's rather that like the business is so small that you want to like keep encouraging as many businesses as possible to keep this up, because like together we can keep the tradition of tailoring just existing.
That's interesting. I feel like it's the opposite in Poland, that everyone fights with each other.
And that is to a big extent how it is in Sweden as well. Like some people will look at other businesses and see them as competitors and enemies. But the thing is, since this business is, I mean, it's not growing that much at the moment. If you want to make it grow, you can't do that by trying to kill your competitors. It's more like, how can we... There used to be like there's still a tailors guild around in Sweden, which was like, it makes the whole business grow by people coming together and trying to just... put a light on the whole business and make it relevant, help each other in making it relevant for a bigger mass of people. They do have this in London as well, I know, because I do have a lot of friends on Savile Row, and they have a tailor's guild, and that is good for the entire business.
But, completely unbelievable that people I mean, when I was in Bauer, I was always thinking, all right, we are in the same Swedish boat, even though I'm French, but that's the way I was perceiving it. I was thinking, all right, there's two actors that are making shine the work of those craftsmen and women that have been just transmitting this work for centuries, and there's beauty in this, and it's not a high-tech historic company, and when you have to get better in innovation, and so there's nothing about innovation in this case. There's something about keeping the beauty of what has. So in this case, gathering is the only way, and keeping strong. I mean, when there's hundreds, maybe or dozens of them, but when there's only two, it's only the moment to gather. And I didn't feel the other way around from Bauer. It's maybe there's this, and that's me talking from a French perspective, the Swedish a bit conservative attitude towards one another that is quite that's not super Italian, let's say, super open and so on.
No.
But I don't think that behind this there is any sort of negative attitude, but that would be nice. I think that would be good and beneficial for everyone, just to break the ice, so to speak, maybe by being more loud about this communion, I would say, because that would be beneficial.
So at the moment, I don't think there's really any, there's no hostility, but there's also no really coming together between Götrich and Bauer. But I do like Frederick, who owns Bauer. We met up a couple of times. He's a really nice dude. He's very knowledgeable. What they make is beautiful. So, but also what Götrich makes, we still have a tailor that was trained by the last master tailor, so she's now the master tailor, and she still makes beautiful suits and garments. And I mean, it's about keeping the heritage alive.
Yeah, because that's the only two actors making things to a certain level. So after them, there's no one.
Exactly. But then there's been some other businesses popping up, like Blue Giallo, where you work, for example, who do made to measure at a very good level, and also like Salman Amel, who makes beautiful suits and very much within the Scandinavian aesthetic.
Sort of very minimalistic.
Yes, very minimalistic.
More than Blue Giallo, more Italian.
Like the form just stands out.
But they make a beautiful product, and the quality is really good. So I think it's interesting. And a lot of the different businesses actually, though a lot of them have sort of the same aesthetic, they all slightly differ between each other. So that's cool. I really like that. And then like shoe brands, there's been a couple of new ones popping up on the market, and I mean, not recently, they've been around for a while, but for example,
is it Morhas?
No, this is from Myrqvist.
Oh, okay.
But I'd say the two major ones that's popped up is Myrqvist and Morhas.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they even have very similar models.
They do, but I think it's because those models speak to the Scandinavian and to a lot of other countries in Europe. They speak to these customers aesthetically, and I'd say both of those brands have gone from like starting out with a very like decent quality shoe, but now the quality is so much better.
But it's so interesting that I think they started with loafers, and loafers are very popular in Sweden. For example, at Lok in Sweden, there are like maybe 12 different loafers.
Oh, that's popular.
And in Poland, for example, at Lok, guys don't like to wear loafers because they think that it's feminine footwear.
That's weird.
I mean, it's very weird. Like guys in Poland, they have some. Guys, you have some issues. If you think that loafer is a feminine shoe, like just watch what your like grandpas wore.
Yeah. So
even fisherman sandals. My uncle wears fisherman sandals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a funny side note, but the most classic shoe for formal wear is the opera pump. It sort of looks like the shoes a ballerina would wear, but it's also the one shoe model that's been around for the longest time that men have been wearing. So you could argue that it's the most masculine of footwear.
That's true.
In that sense, because it has the longest history, but a lot of men would never wear it because they think it looks too feminine.
And wear with the special sock.
Yeah, exactly, with a silk sock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, the interview was so long, so we just decided to create a second episode with Erik Mannby. So now it will be a wrap of the first 12th episode with interview with Erik Mannby. And guys, you will have a second one in 1 week. Like always, Sunday YouTube episode and Monday on all podcast apps. And it's Erik
and Jordan
and me, Michal. So guys, just listen.
You
see
brain
you next
freeze.
week.
Yeah, see you next week. Just easy. Yeah, bye.